I found the job posting on a bulletin board at a 24-hour laundromat. Not online. Not on Indeed or LinkedIn. On actual paper, pinned between a guitar lesson ad and someone selling a couch. In 2024, the paper was cream-colored, slightly textured, like resumed stock. Professional. The text was printed in a serif font that looked almost vintage. Night documentation specialist needed flexible hours. Excellent pay. Immediate start. Call for interview. Number: I was 3 months behind on rent. My car had a check engine light that had been on so long I'd started thinking of it as decorative. I took a photo of the number. The woman who answered spoke with the kind of warmth that our people practice in mirrors. "Oh, wonderful. Can you come in tonight? Say 11 p.m. I know it's unusual, but we really need someone to start immediately." The address she gave me was in the industrial district, past the new condos they were building, past the craft breweries, into the part of town where the streetlights had gaps and the buildings hadn't been renovated since the 80s. I arrived at 10:50 p.m. The building was a squat, 4-story concrete block with narrow windows. A small bronze plaque by the door read, "Archival Solutions, Inc." The lobby was empty except for a security desk with no one behind it, and a single elevator with brass doors that looked older than my parents. The woman from the phone Miranda met me on the 3rd floor. She was in her 50s, wearing a blazer despite the hour, with reading glasses on a chain. Everything about her screamed normal office job. "Thank you so much for coming on such short notice," she said, leading me down a hallway lined with frosted glass doors. Each had a number, but no name. "We're a document preservation company. We handle physical archives for corporations during their digital transitions. Very boring work, honestly, but someone has to do it." She smiled. I smiled back. The office she brought me to was aggressively ordinary. Beige walls, a desk with a computer from maybe 2015, filing cabinets, a small window that looked out onto the parking lot where my car sat alone under a flickering light. "The job is simple," Miranda said, handing me a laminated instruction sheet. "Documents come up via the service elevator at the end of the hall. You log them in our system, scan them, and file them numerically. Usually 40 to 60 items per night. You'll be done by 6 a.m. That's it. That's it. $25 an hour. Cash, paid weekly. $25 an hour for data entry, cash. No direct deposit, no tax forms yet," she said. "Those would come after the first week." Every red flag I'd normally watch for was waving, but I calculated. 7 hours, 5 nights, $25. $875 a week. I took the job. Miranda left at 11:30 p.m. "The service elevator is automatic," she said from the doorway. "You'll hear it arrive. Just follow the instructions on your sheet. Don't worry if you hear other sounds. Old building. Lots of pipes and work. Oh, and the bathroom is 2 doors down on the left. Try not to wander. Some of our clients store sensitive materials here, and we have to be strict about access." Then she was gone, and I was alone in a beige office in an empty building at midnight, which is exactly the setup to every horror story ever told. I laughed at myself and opened the instruction sheet. Night documentation protocol. 1. Service elevator will arrive at intervals throughout shift 2. Remove documents from cart 3. Log each document. Date received, document ID on label. Condition 4. Scan at 600 dpi. Save as. Date 5. File in corresponding cabinet 6. Return empty cart to elevator 7. Press send button. Easy enough. The computer was slow but functional. I logged in with the temporary password Miranda had written down. The system was basic, just a spreadsheet interface where I'd enter the data. I pulled out my phone to pass the time until the first delivery. No signal. Not low signal. No bars at all. I tried Wi-Fi. There was a network called archival secure, but it was password protected. I made a mental note to ask for the password tomorrow. At 11:47 p.m., I heard it. A mechanical grinding, then a whir. The service elevator. I walked down the hallway. The motion sensor lights flickered on as I moved, leaving pools of shadow between each fixture. The building was quiet, in that specific way empty buildings are not silent, but full of ambient noise that makes you realize how much sound humans actually make. The elevator was at the end of the hall, a smaller industrial model with metal doors. They were open. Inside was a wheeled cart with a plastic bin containing maybe 20 file folders. I rolled it back to my office. The first documents were mundane. Personnel files from a company called Meridian Technologies, dated 1987 to 1992. Performance reviews, insurance paperwork, signed forms in fading blue ink. The kind of thing that had to be kept for legal purposes, but that no one would ever look at again. I logged, scanned, and filed. The rhythm was almost meditative. The second delivery came at 1:15 a.m. More personnel files, different company. The third at 2:30 a.m. Medical records from a clinic that closed in 1995. By 3 a.m., I was fighting sleep. The office was too warm, the chair was comfortable, and the work was mind-numbing. I stood up to stretch and walked to the window. The parking lot was empty. Not just empty of people, my car was gone. I pressed my face to the glass. The parking lot was completely empty, just cracked asphalt under that same flickering light. But I had definitely parked there. I'd looked out this same window at 11 p.m. and seen my car. My chest tightened. I walked to the office door, ready to go downstairs and check if I'd somehow misremembered where I parked. If maybe there was another lot. The hallway lights were off. All of them. The motion sensors should have triggered, but I was standing in complete darkness except for the light spilling from my office behind me. I waved my arms. Nothing. I stepped forward into the dark hallway. The lights flickered on, one by one, marching ahead of me down the corridor. And at the far end, by the service elevator, someone was standing. I froze. The figure was backlit by the elevator light, just a silhouette, tall, still, facing my direction. Miranda. My voice cracked. Is someone there? The figure didn't move. The motion sensor light above it clicked off, plunging that end of the hallway into darkness. My mouth went dry. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but run where? Down a dark hallway toward the only exit. Back into my office with no lock on the door. I pulled out my phone. Still no signal, but I turned on the flashlight and aimed it down the hall. Nothing. No one. The elevator doors were closed. I stood there for a full minute, my phone flashlight shaking in my hand, waiting for something to move. When nothing did, I slowly walked back to my office and shut the door. There was no lock, so I dragged my chair against it. Stupid, useless, but it made me feel slightly better. At 3:47 a.m., the service elevator opened again. I heard it from my office. The grinding, the whir, then silence. No footsteps. No cart being rolled. I didn't go check it. I sat at my desk, staring at the door I blocked with a chair, listening. The building creaked. The vec hummed. Somewhere, water dripped. At 4:15 a.m., my computer screen flickered and went black. Then it came back on, but the spreadsheet was gone. Instead, there was a document open. A scanned image of a form. I didn't remember opening it. It was a personnel file. Meridian Technologies employee. Fletcher, David position. Night security status. Terminated date. March 15, 1993 reason. Abandoned post. Subject to investigation. Below that, in handwriting. Found on premises March 17, 1993. No vital signs. Cause of death. Undetermined. My hands trembled as I closed the document. I didn't remember scanning this. It wasn't in tonight's batch. I'd been careful about logging everything. I opened the spreadsheet again and scrolled through my entries. Every document I'd logged was there, time-stamped, proper IDs. Except for one entry I didn't remember making. To 33 AM DOC 7743 Fletcher, David, personnel condition. Urgent review required. I never wrote urgent review required. That wasn't in the protocol. I stood up, knocking my chair back. I needed to leave. This was insane. The pay wasn't worth whatever this was. I'd come back during the day with Miranda, tell her the computer glitched, apologize, and never return. I pulled the chair away from the door and stepped into the hallway. The lights worked normally now, clicking on as I walked toward the elevator. I'd take it down, get in my car wherever it was and leave. As I passed one of the frosted glass doors, I saw movement inside. I stopped. Through the translucent glass, a shadow moved. Someone was in there, pacing slowly back and forth. I should have kept walking. I should have run. Instead, I reached for the handle and opened the door. The room was identical to my office. Same desk, same filing cabinets, same window. But sitting at the desk, illuminated by the computer screen's glow, was a man in a security guard uniform. He didn't turn around. "Hey," I said. "I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone else was." He turned. His face was wrong. Not monster wrong, not horror movie wrong, but uncanny valley wrong. Like someone wearing a mask of their own face. His eyes were too wide, unblinking, and his mouth hung slightly open. On his name tag, D. "Fletcher, you should finish your shift," he said in a voice that sounded like it was coming from a broken speaker. "The work is important. The documentation must continue." I backed out of the room and ran. I ran down the hallway past my office, past the service elevator. I found the stairs and took them two at a time, my footsteps echoing in the concrete shaft. 3rd floor, 2nd floor, 1st floor. The lobby was different. The security desk was manned now. A woman in a guard uniform sat there, facing away from me, perfectly still. The exit doors were chained shut from the inside. "Excuse me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I need to leave. I'm not feeling well." She turned around slowly. Her name tag said, K. Morrison. Her face had that same wrong quality. And she smiled. "You're scheduled until 6 AM, she said. "The work is important. The documentation must continue." Behind me, I heard footsteps on the stairs. Multiple sets, descending slowly, in perfect rhythm. I looked at the chained doors, at the guard's unblinking smile, at the dark hallway behind the security desk, where more figures were emerging from the shadows. All of them in uniform. All of them with name tags. All of them with faces that were almost, but not quite, human. The service elevator dinged. "Your delivery has arrived," the guard said. "Please return to your station." And I understood. I hadn't found the job posting. It had found me. And the next morning, Miranda arrived at 6:15 AM to find the office empty, the computer still running, and a half-finished shift logged in the system. She printed out a new job posting on cream-colored paper, changed the phone number, and pinned it to a bulletin board at a different laundromat across town. "The work is important. The documentation must continue."